Good morning, good morning. We've chatted the whole night through. Good morning to you. Hey everyone, how are you doing today? I don't know what's come over me. Oh, just feeling the joys of life, of being able to be in the garden. I've got a dry day. It's a bit overcast. We're not forecast any rain, so hopefully we won't get any. Maybe if we get some, it'll just be light. Anyway, yay! Another exciting day today. Oh, every day is so exciting, isn't it? Today, I'm playing with my Ryobi. Honestly, I've not taken anything this morning. I don't know why. I'm giddy before I've even been in the garden. Yes, I've got my drill with me, because I'm finally going to sort out my beanpole mess. Oh my goodness. Way back when I was building the deck, I was intending, or the plan was, I wanted to build a sort of box bench that had a lift up lid that I could store my poles in there during the winter. I'd still like to do that, but the problem is I've not been finding any free timber in skips and what have you. Just odd bits, but really short, gnarly, rubbish bits. So I'll keep an eye out for that kind of thing, and, you know, as and when I find some wood in skips, wherever, I'll grab it, I'll bring it down here, I'll stash it away, and maybe one day I will have my bench. So, in the meantime, what to do about them? I think, as I was explaining the other day when I was putting the leaves behind the shed, and that's another job today, is to get more leaves, because I want to start that second ton bag. But yeah, as I was putting the leaves behind, I was explaining, it's a really awkward space behind my shed, and that's because there's a tree right behind my shed, that beautiful elderberry tree, and next to it, well, there's all its root mass, but it's about 2 feet up higher than the back of my shed. So I've taken my shed as far up to its root system as I can. There's just enough space behind my shed so I can get around it for painting, maintenance, that sort of thing. But in terms of storing stuff, there's just no room, because otherwise that would be the ideal space, round the back of the shed, build a rack, what have you. But anyway, I haven't got any space. However, I've been on freecycle. This is such a good score. Look, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of these things. How fab's that? So what I'm thinking is, I mean, they're not very big. Imagine a whole bunch of poles. So the idea is I'm going to put them into the back of my fence on the back of the deck. They won't protrude too far out, but also they're nice and curvy. So if anyone walks down that path, no one uses that path, to be honest, but if someone did, as they go past, because it's nice and curvy and smooth, they shouldn't get snagged up on it. So yeah, that's the plan. I've got 8, so that's 4 sets of 2. So hopefully I can have 4 lots of sort of 2 lengths, as it were. I don't know if it's going to store all the bean poles or not, but it's a start, isn't it? And I'm not looking that kind of gift horse in the mouth. Come on, great score. So the first thing I have to do is move all the bean poles out from behind my fence again. Actually, when I do it, it'll be a good opportunity to sort through them in terms of length, so I can organise them in lengths, because I think next year, unless some magic happens on our burn pile and I can scrounge some good stuff, I think I'm going to have to invest in some 8-foot bamboo canes next year. Those longer willow ones I bought, willow, don't buy willow sticks. They become so brittle even before the end of one season. So yes, I'll have a sort today, look at my lengths, but I think I might have to put a bit of money aside and make an investment next year in bean poles. Anyway, that's next year. This is today. Come on, let's go and have some fun with the drill. First things first, I need to tidy up my own mess. Oh my goody goodness. Oh, rubbish willow, out you come. yeah, I think just get it all dumped on the deck for now. I did sort of pile these up tidily at the end of the season. I don't know what happened. I'm going to blame it on the foxes. Oh my goodness. What a tangle. What a tangled web we weave. Who was that? Is it the Lady of Shalott who wove the tangled web? Who of you are literary? Oh, that's going to bug me now, thinking about it. What a tangled web we weave. Who wrote it? Are you screaming at the screen to tell me? I hope so. Oh, what a palaver I created with this. You see, I love getting things like this today done because I know I seem a really, really weird, organised neat freak, but firstly, it's about looking after what you've got so that it lasts as long as possible. And also, I just think the more kind of spaces I have for organising things, whether it's hooks, drawers, baskets, whatever, then in the long run it just makes life so much easier. You know, hopefully once I've got this done today, it'll be a case of, you know, when I get to the end of the season each year, well, not that the season ever ends completely, but you know what I mean, that kind of height of summer stuff with all the poles. You know, in years to come now, hopefully when I take all the poles down, it'll be so much quicker and easier to get them all stashed and sorted. Hopefully. Oh my goodness. Just looking at them perched here already. There's not a lot of long ones. Oh, there's some stick bits in here too, like branchy bits. I don't remember where they're from. I've got a little stash of branches down here. Excellent. Excellent. If the fence falls over in a minute, we'll just all laugh together. Oh my goodness. Do you all love these kind of getting on with it winter jobs? I know there's probably a load of you who have snow already, but for those of you who don't, I'm just wondering what sort of jobs you're getting stuck into right now. Yeah, you get stuck in. I honestly don't remember scrounging these. Oh no, I was going to say, I think maybe all these branches were part of my TPs for the climbing squash, but I don't think they are because those are all over there weighting down some cardboard. Yeah. Well, I'm not complaining. I never have too many sticks and bits, but I think for now I'm going to just hoik them out of here and dump them on one of the cardboard beds. Yeah. Oh, awkward. How could I have a stash like this and have forgotten about it? That's bonkers. I'm going to stick out too far. No, that'll be grand. I'm going to start on this with these 2 posts either side of the window, because I just want to make sure I'm below the window here. And then when I get further along to the next 2 posts, I can stagger it. So say this one's here, on the next post I'll put it there, so that if there's any pokey that way, hopefully they'll have room to overlap. What I don't like on this is, look at this little cap that's been put on to stop that obviously from damaging anything in transit. That's a nasty little thing to me. I'm thinking, gosh, if I dropped that, I'd hate for a bird to come along and pick it up thinking it was a berry. So just be, when you're outside, just be really careful what happens. That's going in my pocket. Just be careful what happens to your rubbish. Make sure we're not leaving it around for the birds to end up choking on. I haven't got a spirit level with me today. Never mind, we'll do it by eye. I could do everything. So a little bit of a pilot hole. That'll do it. And then, well, that's the weirdest thing to turn and screw. It's kind of weird, but do you know what? That's kind of strangely satisfying too. Oh yeah. Oh, that's so weird. I feel like I'm turning, I don't know if any of you have ever been on a narrow boat, but it feels rather like turning the windlass when you're opening a lock. That's weird. Right, next one. Where are we? Following that line of fence. Oh, aren't I getting all fancy pants with me beanpole rack? No idea how strong these are going to be, but the poles, you know, let's face it, they don't weigh a lot, do they? So they should be fine. Right, that's 2 in, 6 more to go. Where's that one? It's on there. Quick sticks now, Vivi. The sky's getting darker and darker by the minute. So I don't know whether it's some bad weather coming in or whether it's just that wintry darkness, but either way, I want to get a wriggle on so that, right there, yeah, I want to get a wriggle on so that if it is bad weather, I can at least get done just this little bit today. I suppose one could invest in some fancy, what do you call it, outdoor wear, waterproofs. Oh, a little bit of plastic fell off. I do have a kind of showerproof-ish jacket. But yeah, maybe that's something else to think about investing in next year, some waterproofs. My family are very sweet. Quite often for Christmas they'll just give me some cash. So that might be something really useful to think about doing with the cash. Right, let's go and sort all those poles into lengths now. Oh, look at the little robin's just arrived. Sorry, you can't see him, and if I move you, He's going to go whizzing off. I say he. It's almost impossible to sex robins. I did ask the RSPB once about how to sex a robin, and they said, well, yeah, it's nearly impossible. So, he, she, gorgeous. This ain't going to get the baby washed, is it? Can you see? Oh, you look beautiful. The gardener's friend. Are you hoping I'm going to dig some worms up for you? Looks a very healthy one. Good and plump. Sweetest of sweet little birds. Doing this is actually really quite useful because as I'm going through, it's making it really apparent that I am seriously lacking in the longer lengths. They snap a little bit more with every passing year. Actually, they can go in the longer rack. Yeah, they just snap, and then you find when you dig the bed out at the end of the season, I find these sort of 6-8 inch lengths of bean pole that are in the ground where it's snapped off. Oh, hey ho. What else are you going to do? Oh, on a quiet winter's day. And chat with, oh, that's really short. Then chat with the robins and sort your sticks out. Oh, that's a big long one too. Yeah, I'll get this done in a minute, and then I think it's the time to go and get another batch of leaves. Oh, and there's that long one ended up on the floor. Short. How long are you? You're long. Right, come on, this is a long one. Long-ish. Off we go. Well, I'm chuffed to get this little job done today. It has been something that's been on my mind for ages. Probably for about 2 or 3 years. You know, working out somewhere to store the bean poles. I've had ideas over the years, but they've never really come to fruition because of lack of materials. But this is great. They're neat, they're tidy, they're eminently accessible, doesn't block the room with a view. Really easily accessible. They shouldn't, hopefully, let's just come this way again. They hopefully shouldn't get too wet, because if they get rained on, well, they're open, so the rain will just drop through and dry, hopefully. And it'd be kind of interesting to think about making some sort of a baton with tarp on it here that could then be just draped over to protect them from the worst of the weather. Oh, that can be a job for another day, but yeah, chuffed to get that done. Really good to have a really thorough sort out of my sticks. Loads of them were just snapping in my hands as I was sorting them, so they have now become miniature plant/row labels, and it's given me a good idea of the sort of the quantities I might need to think about getting in for, just come past that post, getting in for next year. But yeah, right, I think it's time to tackle the other side of the fence now. Poor Achocha. Gosh, it was so green for so long, and then just at the beginning of November, within the first couple of weeks of November when I wasn't around, we suddenly had one really sharp frost, and the next time I came back it was thoroughly wilted. It's kind of a shame in a way, because I wanted to chop it down while it was still green, because so much of my compost at this time of year is brown. It would have been great to have some green to mix in with it. Never mind. The other thing that always interests me is whenever it's a new plant to me, just feeling sort of the texture of it and in its various sort of life and death stages. What's surprising with this is it feels really quite tough. I don't know, I wasn't expecting that. I think just because it was such a lush, bright, almost lime green, it looked incredibly tender all year as it was growing. So it never did come to fruition in terms of giving me any gourds, but I think that was a timing issue. So if you want to have a go with Achocha next year, it does need to be started really early, and I need to sharpen my secateurs. Yes, Jan, I know. I got the message. Yeah, it does need to be started really early. So I started mine this year at the same time as my peppers were started indoors at home, which was about mid-February. I didn't use a heated propagator, but I did use a propagator with a lid in my south-facing window, and that seems to be warm enough. They got going away absolutely beautifully. The most gorgeous, delicate, they're almost like a cannabis leaf, but sort of very spindly and tendrily at that very early stage. So they were doing great at home. Then from about, it must have been, I think it was about April, I moved them. They were long since out of the propagation, they'd been potted on, but I moved them out of my flat where it starts to get really warm as we go into April and May, because with all that sun, because I face south. So I moved them out of the flat and into my sort of hallway landing area, which isn't heated and it's north facing, so it doesn't get too hot. And I kind of use that area as a bit of a halfway house for hardening off. So they had about 3 weeks out there, still doing absolutely fine. I'm telling you all this so that hopefully you have better luck with it next year than I had this year. And it must have been about, I think it was probably about the beginning of May, I brought them down here to do a final bit of hardening off in the cold frame, but the cold frame had all its windows open at that stage because we were really quite warm. Doing fine, planted them out, and within a space of, I think, about 2 days, they'd been completely, utterly massacred by the slugs. Yeah, it was towards the end of May, so February, March, April, May, they were about 3.5 months old, 3.5 months of nurturing gone down the tubes, literally overnight one night. So then I thought, stuff, because I really wanted, A, to grow it, but B, I really wanted some greenery along the deck for the summer, because I knew this was going to be my little kind of chilling out. Where did Poppy appear from? She made me jump. Yeah, I really wanted some greenery, so I thought, stuff it. Nothing's working this year. That's when I have my real, stuff it, chuck it in phase. It's the beginning of June. So I literally direct sowed one seed. They were quite precious seeds. They'd been saved from another gardener, and I think I only had about 5 or 6 seeds, so I didn't want to experiment with more than one. So yeah, I put one seed direct in the ground, about 1 inch down, beginning of June, expected nothing. It was fairly slow to get going, but my goodness, by August, it was romping away. So all of this, so that's 1, 2, 3 panels worth of my fence. It was all from one plant. Yay! And I loved it. It was that particular shade of green that I really enjoyed. It's absolutely gorgeous. So I'm definitely going to have a go again next year. I don't know quite why the direct sown ones, didn't seem to be attacked by the slugs like the others were. I did obviously put a slug trap down eventually. Maybe it's because we were moving into the drought period and there were just less slugs around. But yeah, I'll definitely be trying again in 2019. So I don't know if any of you tried it, if you had any success, but I think the biggest thing to bear in mind is it's just that really long growing season. I think, what were you, June, July, August, September, October, it had 5 months of growing before the frost got it. I reckon give it another couple of months and it would have fruited for me. So if it hadn't gone in June but rather in March, yay! Anyway, like I say, all was not lost. It was really lovely to look at and enjoy, and it just made such a beautiful backdrop for the garden this year. Gorgeous colour, always looks so fresh and vibrant. So yeah, giving it a go next year. Keep your fingers crossed for me, everyone. Right, let's chat more chopping. Oh, this has been a thoroughly nice little sesh in the garden. Chuffed to bits to get those bean poles up off the ground finally. It took me a while to get all that achocha chopped down and brought off. So yeah, I've also, sorry, my mind got completely distracted then because I was watching the birds. Sorry about that. Yeah, a few more leaves gathered today. That's enough for this little session. It's great. I know I kind of go on about it all the time, but I can't help myself. It just feels so lovely. And for us that have got mild weather and no snow, oh my goodness, why wouldn't you want to get out there? It's just lovely. It's peaceful, it's fresh, it's invigorating. And getting all those little odd jobs done that we can do over winter, it's wonderful because firstly, the more jobs that get ticked off, the less there are, nagging your mind. But then hopefully, when we get into the height of season next year, all those little things we've put in place over the winter, hopefully they'll just kind of help us and make life easier. And the easier it is to garden, then hopefully the quicker it is, which means the more time we can just sit and relax and enjoy it all. Right, I think before I get too relaxed, because there's a danger of that now, I should say to you all, cheerio, have fun whatever you're up to, stay warm if it's cold, and of course for our lovely Southern Hemisphere friends, I hope you're not getting too boiling hot at the moment. It's hard to imagine heat and sunshine at the moment. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, have fun and be happy doing it. Until next time, take care everyone.